when did this breakthrough happen for you? When did you realize, like, it's me, it's not others, and you got out of this blame game?
Well, I've been in real estate for 16 years. For the first 10 years, I was hyper focused, worked as hard as possible. There's not much I could have done that I wasn't doing. I was doing everything I could. And I built a lot in my name. I built a brokerage, I built a management company, I owned all these properties, and it was all about me. And I personally lost $4 million of my own money that I made on one publicly traded company. It was totally unrelated to real estate, but it was such a humbling, made me a better man experience. And I'm so grateful for it because I wasn't able to handle what I was given or what I had collected.
Partnerships can multiply your wealth or it can multiply your mistakes. We all know that. I'm your host, Vinki Loomba, and today we are talking about partnering and growing with others, how to scale strategically, choose the right people, and protect your vision while expanding it. Awesome. So, our guest for today is Matthew Teifke, founder and CEO of TR3 Capital. He leads investment strategy, acquisitions, and business development. And he's deeply passionate about mentorship, leadership, and building businesses with integrity. Matt, welcome to the Wealth Vibe Show.
I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for making the space and the time. And I'm here to provide as much value as I can, shine light. And once again, thanks for you and for everybody that's listening. Hope you're doing well today.
Thank you so much for your flexibility. I know we've been trying for the last few months to get you on the show.
Hey,
Finally, we are here.
you gotta be entrepreneurial and flexible as somebody in business, right? So it's all good. Life happens and we just have to adapt.
Exactly. And then our topic for today is power of partnership, growing beyond your limits. So, but before we dive into your story, Matt, I want to frame this for our listeners. By the end of this episode, I want them to walk away with clarity on how to choose the right partners, grow without losing alignment, and build long term wealth through collaboration. I think that's what we did, right? You and me both, actually, because I feel like collaboration is the key. And when you collaborate, you go much farther, much faster. That's what my strategy is. So let's start with you. When you first started scaling TR3 Capital, what was the biggest internal shift you had to make about partnership?
Well, I've done a lot of different partnerships. I'm very passionate about people and teaming up, and I've got all kinds of thoughts about it. I'll just jump into one of them that's very
Uh-huh.
important to me. You know, we all have heard people say that they've had bad partners, right?
Mhm.
You've heard that?
Yes, multiple times.
Yeah. Everybody's had a bad partner, right?
Mhm.
But apparently nobody's ever been a bad partner, right? It's like where are all these
Blaming others.
yeah, where are all these bad partners at?
Mhm.
Because it's not us, it's everybody else, right?
Everybody else, exactly.
Everybody else. So the reason I say that is we all make mistakes.
That's so true.
And we in business, for some reason, I've done this. I try really hard not to, but we just write people off. This person is that, so I'm not talking to them. I'm not dealing with them. I'm perfect, right? That's the mentality that's taking place. And so I'm very passionate about breaking through that and being honest and real and open and vulnerable and admitting where I went wrong and trying to get others to do the same because we all fall short. We give our parents and our kids the most forgiveness in the entire world. But these people that we don't consider family, they're just outside of the gate, right? And that's pretty sad to me that we operate like that. So that's just my quick little passionate soapbox is like, don't write people off. Don't act like everybody else is the bad partner. Like, look at yourself as well. But these are marriages. And in your marriage, you have forgiveness, you help each other be better. And that's what you got to do in a partnership as well. And what I've really learned is the partnerships in real estate, they're easy to kind of jump into because we're not operating a business as much as a lot of other businesses where there's like all these decisions every day. We're buying an asset that has rent coming in, right? And so you think it's like it doesn't really matter who my partner is and what they think about life and how do they operate in stress, but those things matter. And you want to figure things out as much as you can up front on what are your goals? Like
That's so
what,
true.
you know what I mean? How do you treat people when you're stressed? How do you deal with hard situations? You want to try to have those conversations because as you know, and everybody else that's been in business, it's going to happen. You're going to have horrible situations, you're going to have challenges. And so be prepared for those the best you can. And really the way I break it down is what are our long-term ways that we think about life? And like, let's get clear on that.
And I wanted to ask you this before even going deeper on this. When did this breakthrough happen for you? When did you realize, like, it's me, it's not others, and you got out of this blame game?
Well, I've been in real estate for 16 years. For the first 10 years, I was hyper focused, worked as hard as possible. There's not much I could have done that I wasn't doing. I was doing everything I could. And I built a lot in my name. I built a brokerage, I built a management company, I owned all these properties, and it was all about me. And I personally lost $4 million dollars of my own money that I made on one publicly traded company. It was totally unrelated to real estate, but it was such a humbling, made me a better man experience. And I'm so grateful for it because I wasn't able to handle what I was given or what I had collected. And now I'm just such a different person with a different perspective. I got really close to trusting in God and not making things my own. There's a verse in the Bible about he who builds in his own name builds in vain, and I think that was me. Um, and so I've had such a shift. I mean, to lose that amount of money, we're all unique in different ways, but like there's not many people that have like it's not like I had, $10 million dollars in the bank. Like I lost everything. And I probably should have filed bankruptcy, but I didn't. And I've recovered from that. And I'm just such a different like man for it. And I had to think about what did I do wrong? How can I be better? How can I lead better? How can I have more of an impact? And so those things caused me to be insightful in a way that like I couldn't overcome this on my own. I needed God. I needed other things. I needed people. I needed friends. I needed forgiveness. I needed support. And we all do. And so I'm just trying to come from a place of having a real impact and not be somebody that is up on stage acting like I have everything figured out or thinking that my value as a man or to others comes from money. Even if I had unlimited money, I don't want that to be the value that I bring to you because it's not a real value. It's not something that like you're going to remember me for and that I can maybe like impact your soul or and I need help too, right? But I'm just coming from a different place because of going so fast and so high. And I have two little boys, 7 and 5, and there was a time when money didn't mean anything to me in the sense of like I could buy whatever I want or do whatever I wanted. And then I remember I like couldn't go buy my kids some toys, and I'm not here to have anybody feel bad for me. It's just interesting. I couldn't buy the toys, and I'm like, 8 months ago, I could have bought this entire strip center and had this toy company paying me rent. But that was such a humbling experience that made me a better person.
Wow, that's good. Thanks for sharing your story. So tell us, how did you recover? What was the recovery process like, or what did you create a framework for you going forward that you can share with us or the other people who can learn from your experience?
Well, the beautiful thing for me was that the setback had nothing to do with what I was building or what I was doing.
Mhm.
Like the $4 million that I lost, I made in real estate.
Mhm.
And so the money that I lost was not related to real estate. And so thank God, I mean, everything that I've done for 15 years, all the seeds that I've planted, the reputation that I've tried to build, that's all still intact, hopefully better now. But I didn't have to really change much. That was the crazy thing is like this was a side investment unrelated to what I do for work. So I just had to keep doing what I was doing and
Mhm.
realize like, hey, I made the 4 million, I can make it again. And if I do or don't, my value isn't based on that. So that's a perspective thing. But we're also dealing with this slower time, right? It was like this trade-off of like, if I had that money when the way things are now, I'd be like exponentially growing, but things are slower, so it's harder to get things done. So I just have to be patient, stick the course, get better at everything I was doing, which the framework was a really big focus on people. I spent
Okay.
uh,
So,
I spent 16 years, or 10 years, like asking every question I could think of, studying, analyzing, and then I was like, wait a minute, real estate's all about people. And so I shifted.
mhm.
And so, I can do what I did in 3 years instead of 10 years, and I can have better relationships, and I can make better introductions, and I can learn things like the bad partner stuff, and learn how to not judge people, right? There's people that bought a lot of big deals and they lost money, and it's so easy for everyone to sit on the sideline and judge them, right?
That's so
Uh,
true. Yeah,
And even when they were the people that were giving them the money, in a sense, enabling them or playing part of it, and then they want to judge that person, and they're all to judge, they're all to be, take accountability. So,
that's so true.
you
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's like, you don't see people that are in the arena that are judging other people. It's people that are sitting on the sideline. And so I'm just trying to talk to those things where I can, but my foundation has been hustle. Like, trust me, that's like I'm already getting extremely busy again. I like, but I realized like, oh yeah, like at least for me, if I have a lot of things going on and I'm a little bit stressed, like, yeah, that's how you kind of make multiple $1 million. Like you just have a lot of good things in the works and not so much like, it's calm and stable and I've got it all figured out. I don't, at least for me, that's not how I know how you make a lot of money. That's how you make a little bit of money and you're stable. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, doing one or the other. But like to go make multiple millions, as far as I'm aware, you have got to be taking a lot of action, uh, finding yourself a lot of problems to solve, big problems to solve, and then the capital will come from hustling based on that.
Mm. That's good to know. So let me ask you this question. You mentioned earlier you were doing everything on your own, and then you learn about partnerships, how to find the right partners gonna help you scale much faster. So, and which you did. So, what was one of your early partnership mistakes that reshape you how you evaluate people today?
Probably the things that I'm talking about where I just wasn't very clear on what are our goals, right? Like, I could come right now if I had an apartment complex and I'm like, hey, we should buy this together. That's not the right approach as much as, hey, who are you? What are your goals? What are you trying to do? So I moved too fast into just partner, partner, partner. And the thing is, a lot of people will have a bad partnership and then they say, I'm never going to do partnerships again. Where I don't think of it like that. I just think of how can I get better at it and what could I have learned from it? Because I do believe that real estate's a team sport. It's much funner to be doing it with people and celebrating.
That's so true.
You also really, you- as far as I know, it's so hard to scale on your own. I mean, you can't go do multiple millions in real estate by yourself.
I was going to ask you, so now you're at a place now you are working with multiple people now. If you have to, you're still partnering, you're still looking for partners, right? So if you wanted to evaluate a potential partner, what matters to you more than the experience or track record? Because when you're meeting people first time, you know how it is like all the good stuff and not really you can figure it out where they're coming from. So what is your strategy on how to read somebody, like, or how to know the gray area?
I'm much more a slow play process. And do these people, for me, it's really important. Do they do what they say? Right? Just little things. Like I'm going to send you this, or I'll follow up with you here. I'm going to connect you with this person. When people don't do that, it doesn't mean they're like not somebody I respect as a human, but it does mean that I don't really want to work with them because I have to be able to count on you as a partner, and I have to do the same for myself to follow through with everything I say. That's really important. And I try to prolong that process because it's easy to do it. You say one time or two times or do it tomorrow, but like who's doing that over, 3 months, six
Over and over
months,
again.
1 year, 2 years? And when you find those people, you got to hold them close. And you might not partner with them immediately, but you can add value for them, right? And I might need help as well. And so I'm just trying to get in the arena with people that do what they say they're going to do. They're committed to learning, to being a student of the game. How do they treat people? How do they communicate? Those kind of things. And realizing that this is a very long game,
It is. I
right?
agree.
I mean,
hmm
like if you and I are talking in we're we're both hopefully going to be in real estate for the rest of our life, right? That's how I
True.
feel, right?
hmm
And so like why wouldn't we be talking in 10 years? And are we operating like that's how we're thinking about things? That's like who I'm looking for versus like let's do this right now and if we don't, let's not talk again. That's just a waste. So I'm trying to figure out who's real, how do I prolong this process to figure that out? And what are we going to acquire? What skill sets can we bring together? Because as you know, it's not like you just buy one deal or five deals or seven deals and you just retire. Like it just doesn't work that way.
That's so true. But the thing is, what you're talking about is a long-term vision or a short-term vision. Some people, they do not have that long-term vision, you know. And sometimes people are in just a survival mode. So they're just like, what next for me? That's the only thing they are looking for. And the
Sure.
responses are so automated at that point. Like you started the conversation early on about partnering with others and how we play the blame game, I would call it, in our industry or outside the industry too, because we always feel like other people are at fault. They did something wrong versus looking at ourselves, who we are or who we are becoming in this process. So what you're talking about is right now who you are becoming in the process. Because if you have your learner hat on, if you have the curiosity, it's going to take you somewhere. But how do you deal with that, when you're weeding out people? How do you figure it out? Okay, this is kind of short-term guy or this is a long-term guy, the alignment is missing. Or have you ever walked away from a financial opportunity just because of alignment? Maybe the opportunity was so good.
We
Share with
did.
us that experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do this call every Thursday on Zoom and I invite everybody there. Everybody's always welcome to that. So
hmm
this is like how I kind of funnel things. And then the right people just tend to start doing more and we start doing more together.
Mm-hmm.
So it naturally just progresses. And then it's like, all right, maybe, like you said, maybe this person's struggling and they have short-term goals. And that's okay. I get it. I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but let's slow play that and they're still welcome versus me closing the door. Like everybody's welcome. We actually had an investor. This happened 2 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like 500,000 that he wanted to invest. He's he's getting a divorce, and he's kind of trying to like hide the money.
Mm-hmm.
And like we just didn't want to take, we just like didn't want to play part of it. That's your to your question of like turning things down that aren't in alignment. Like, do we need the 500,000 to do things? Absolutely. Like I need to close deals. I'm not retired. I have to close deals. I'm still recovering financially from the loss, right? But we have to draw a line somewhere of like where do our morals lie? And I do believe that things come full circle when you work the right way with integrity anyways. But like I don't want to be part of helping somebody hide money from somebody else, even though like it's just money. But like my soul, when I stop and think about it, you have to make the integrity based decision.
Right choice. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's like, what do you stand for?
And that's it. I mean, this is a good example of when to say no to money. Because I know we talk about that all the time because people should know when to say no to money. It's not like that you just take whatever comes your way. So let me ask you this. Can you share an example where the right partnership accelerated growth far beyond what you could have achieved alone?
Absolutely. You talked to Jake Sisk. Um,
Yes, I love Jake. He's super awesome.
he's the best. And I've been mentoring him for over 4 years. And last year we bought $10 million of real estate together. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that involved at this part. Like I helped him a tremendous amount. I taught him a lot. He gets a lot of credit too, but he just learned from everything that I was doing. He's in his early 20s, and there's no reason why we wouldn't buy 100 million at least over the long run.
Mm-hmm.
But like Jake is somebody that I trust that watches my children when we go to events. If like I go with my wife, he's like, we went on a cruise with a real estate group and he watched my boys and let me and my wife go hang out for the night. And so that's on a friend, brother to brother, but then we're just doing a lot and we have full trust with each other. And it took us like 3 years to be able to
To
get
build that
everything done.
relationship.
Yeah, to build it and to get something done because these things are hard to do if you're not forcing deals. And that's one of the challenges I think in real estate is most people just tap out because it is hard. And I feel for them because they might not know you're close. Like now that I've done it for 16 years, I understand even when it's hard, like there's something close. It's coming, it's coming. But some people don't get that. And so then they tap out and they go get a job or they stop thinking about real estate. And so I'm here to just be the best partner, mentor. And like I said, I need help as well. I wouldn't have been able to do $10 million of real estate. It's like a side business for me without Jake. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. Like that's such a like we're just rolling. We just put one under contract last week and we'll probably do five this year. And it was a lot of seeds planted, a lot of watering, a lot of nourishing. And now that groundwork has been set with Jake. And so he's the perfect example. But a lot of people wouldn't have given I don't say this to build myself up, but it is true. Jake didn't know anything about real estate. And a lot of people would not have put the time into him. And so it's a challenge because it's not like I know Jake's going to be Jake when we first talk, right? I have like hundreds of other people that I talk to right now that never turn into that. And that's a challenge because I have limited time as we all do. And some of these people aren't that serious or they might take advantage of me. But Jake is the example of why it all makes sense. for me.
That's true. And I think that's what makes you average a human being to a super being because you have the can-do attitude or you tap into your own abilities and trust yourself. A lot of people they have the limitations. They feel like, okay, I can do only this much, and they kind of stall. So it's not like their fault, or it's just not like, oh, they are not good enough. It's like people do not know their own strengths. I
Totally.
think that's what it boils down to most of the time, I would say.
I agree with you. Yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, you have to, you know, it's a grind. But like I said, I need the help too. Like Jake inspires me. Oh yeah, there are people, young people that, they can
That's
get
true.
and
Who got the drive? Yeah.
and Jake could have even to this point, and I wouldn't even necessarily blame him, but like he doesn't really need me as much as I used to, but he still keeps
Mhm.
me involved. I do bring value and I will bring value, but like he didn't have to get me involved in all of his next deals, but I think he will. And so then that becomes like such a beautiful trade-off.
That's so true. It's a beautiful partnership at that point, when everybody's aligned. So what if there's some conflict or friction showed up in the past or will show up in the future? How would you deal with it, or how would you resolve it, or how would you have resolved it in the past?
With Jake, is that what you're talking about?
No, with
Oh,
any partner.
how
How would
I
you resolve any conflict or friction?
um I would try to acknowledge where I might have fallen short and just be real and hey, if I messed up, can you tell me? Or if I know, I will lay it out, ask for forgiveness, and really not try to one up or prove a point, but be solution oriented. Like, do you forgive me? Because I definitely will forgive you. Well, like you could do whatever. This comes from me being a Christian. Like I believe that I have to forgive. That's why like no matter what, I have to forgive. And so whatever if somebody stole money, like I'm going to forgive them. I just have to. And I hope for wherever I fell short, I can lay that out and we can move forward as a team. But it's just a human to human conversation. I'm not trying to one up you. I'm not trying to bring you down. Like I'm just trying to be like, regardless of the money, regardless of the deal, can we have respect for ourselves as humans to know that we want to hear each other out, we want to be better, we want to move forward in the best way possible. And so just really breaking it down like on a human level.
Hmm. That's good. That's just like going beyond your limiting beliefs. Forgiveness is the key. I would say that's the wealth. Since we are on the Wealth Wife show, this is one of I say, the best wealth building strategies because it's not just forgiving others, forgiving yourself too. And then making mistakes is not a wrong thing because from mistakes you learn and then you grow. So it's okay to trust people. My thing is I trust people, until unless they do something really, really wrong. Because I just feel like everybody has a potential. So I trust them 100% when we start on any kind of partnership. Until unless they do something really, really wrong, then I just feel like, okay, this was not worth it. But the thing is, over the time, when you're partnering with so many people, you can start reading through people. You know that where they're coming from, what their beliefs are, or how they have performed in their previous life. And that might be in the corporate world, or maybe they did some other business, previous entering to real estate, because those traits not gonna change overnight.
Totally.
Those skills or the soft skills they're gonna bring into real estate as well. They're gonna operate exactly the same way in a different scene. So if you understand that, that's gonna cut out so much noise for you when you're trying to partner with somebody. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like if like banks, right?
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of banks.
Mhm.
And that's easy to say, but you've heard them say like, we're here for the relationship, right? You ever had
Mhm.
bankers tell you that? Like, they're not here for the relationship at all. They're lying to you. They're here to make money. And so my point about that is like if you and I get into a transaction and you and I are purely transactional based and we're like banks, there's no way we're gonna like start the relationship like that and then have this fallout and then have this forgiveness heart to heart. Like it's gonna feel fake. So it's like, how do you start this? Like you remember when we were first starting this, Vinky, and we met each other's families and we cared about people as humans? Like,
Yeah, I know, long back, yes.
can we try to
I
get
mean,
back
that's how, yeah,
on
exactly. Mhm.
versus the bank? If you try to tell the bank about, all your stuff, they don't care. It's too late. So it's starting at the beginning of like that's why I kept saying when you're getting started, let's try to have a base to start from.
That's true. And remember in the when you're talking about the ancient times, we're going into the very old age kind of thing. When the banks, I don't know if you watched that movie. There was a movie I watched one time, and the banks used to trust you too because they did not have these whole ledgers or a system for the record keeping and all that. They used to trust people who put the money in the bank unless one person came one day and then he kind of lied. He said, I had this much money in my account. I wanted to take this much out. And that's how it started, something new from that onward because the world started shifting. So I thought that was like really good movie. I don't remember the name though, but that was like kind of good learning lesson, like people teach other people how to act, respond, or react, you know.
Yeah, hey, if you think of that movie or if anyone that watches puts it in the comment, I'd like to know. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm just, as you get older, you kind of shift your perspective. And I'm 35 and I got two kids, and I'm just viewing things so different than I used to. Um, and I'm
Yeah,
sure,
no, that's good for you. That's really
yeah,
good for you. So one last question I wanted to ask you, for any of our listeners who listen to this podcast, if they feel stuck, if they feel like they cannot trust anybody, or they feel like, oh, I cannot trust anybody, basically. I just want to do everything on my own. And I see that in our industry a lot. So what is the one decisive step they can take to expand their journey, what would you recommend?
well, I mean, you can't give up, and happiness is shared. It's not
Mm,
you can't be just happy just by yourself, right?
that's so true.
Even if you had $1 billion, but you go spend it all and travel and this and that. But if you have nobody to share that with in a real way, like that's where happiness comes from. And so
I
like,
agree 100%.
yeah, it's just not a fruitful path to want to do things on your own. It's too hard. There's no fun. Uh, you're all alone. There's just nothing good about it. So you have to acknowledge that truth. I mean, you agree that that's truth. And
It is. And I think that's the purpose of our life. We forget, when we come to this life, we forget our true purpose. The true purpose is connecting with others and helping each other grow. So that's the true growth. And that's my wealth vibe right there. That's my show name, but that's my wealth vibe, helping others grow alongside. And then you see the magic happening around you. And that's the best thing that you can do in your life. A lot of people, they forget that, including me too. I've been there, done that. So until unless you get hit hard by someone, okay, wake up, you know,
yeah,
and then you learn. But that's the essence of life right there. So thanks for sharing that with us, and thanks for sharing your mindset and how to partner with the right people. So this brings us to a rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Uh, mm, okay, so quick answers, no overthinking. So are you ready?
let's go.
Okay, so the first one is, are you a morning routine person or a night owl?
Night owl.
Oh, really? Wow. What is one daily habit that keeps you grounded?
I'll go on walks every day. Very simple, just walking, enjoying the sun, just finding slow peace.
That's a really good habit. What book do you gift most often?
Trammel Crow Master Builder.
Hmm, good. What is one non-business activity that fuels your creativity?
I play guitar. It's
Oh,
right there.
really? Wow. But thank you so much. It was such a wonderful conversation. And I really, enjoy learning how people are partnering with others and building this, long-term, I would say, wealth aligned strategies for themselves and the others. So, but before we wrap up, I would like to, ask you to share your contact information, like how people can reach out to you and learn more about you or your TR3 Capital.
Yeah, I'm every social media platform channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Matt Teifke at Gmail is my email, and I'd love to hear from people. And but I always respond. So if someone reaches out, I'll always get back to them.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being with me on this show today. And to everyone listening, partnership is not a weakness, it's leverage when done right. So if there's one takeaway from today, it is the right partnership does not dilute your vision, it expands it. Wealth is not about capital, it's about who you build with and who you trust. Sometimes the biggest leap forward is not working hard alone, but choosing wisely who stands by you. So stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep building your wealth vibe. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for tuning in to the Wealth Vibe Show. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget your free gift. Download the Busy Professional's Guide to Real Estate Investing at loombainvest.com. See you next time with another amazing guest and another powerful conversation.